to acknowledge and honour our Heavenly Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and also honour the traditional owners on the land that we're on, past, present, emerging, and the IFII, Indigenous Friends of Israel, that Rabbi and I had set up, founded in 2017. We actually launched it in Melbourne, and we run public education conferences, also social media, and countless support of Israel against anti-Semitism through our monthly social media times that we have. You can follow us on the website, but also we make numbers of press release. I remember a young gentleman from the Cairns Post came here and he said he was doing an interview for Bob and myself, and we said to him, you know that we do a lot of video, we send out a lot of press release on Israel, and we said, what happens to it? Do you throw it in the bin? And you know what? He nodded his head. So there's a lot of things that just recently that, and as many of you know, that stood for the election. My platform is actually on anti-Semitism, and so the questions were asked. The Cairns Post and other local papers have not picked it up. Also, just this time of NAIDOC event, there's many things that's happening. There was the event of the march on Friday. I'm normally there, but I missed out this time. And so there's art exhibitions and many other things that are happening. So if you're able to participate, as this event here tonight, please do so. So NAIDOC Week, William Cooper being the father of NAIDOC. On my right, on your left, there's before you go out, before you go home from this place tonight, if you'd like to take a photo of a shield that I have, and it's the timeline there of William Cooper. So just to let you know. But also Barbara has 3 books that she's written as an author, biography, William Cooper biographer. 3 books, and so they can also be purchased here. And the time that we had with the Cooper family in Israel, when he was actually honoured, William Cooper was honoured at Yad Vashem, and the number of times that Barbara and I have been over to Israel, actually 13 times. And I don't know if Dr. David will tell some stories there later, but I'll leave it to him, see what he's got, but I'm looking forward to it. Well, we're going to leave the refreshments till a little bit later, but I'm going to introduce a well-known, famous artist, songwriter, Dr. David Hudson, to speak on William Cooper, the father of NAIDOC, as I mentioned. And David is a well-known, famous entertainer, singer, artist, didgeridoo player. So you can go on and see the many tracks of didgeridoos that he has produced over a number of years, but also a movie that he acted with the Marlon Brando. And him and his family, we met them at the Shev in Israel, where David played the didgeridoo at the official centenary ceremony. So I'm not going to say any more. I now introduce you to Dr. David Hudson. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Simon. Norman and I go way back. We used to play footy, and I haven't played footy in a long time. But thanks so much. When Bob asked me to be here tonight, I said, of course, no problem, I'm here for you. So, good evening everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the TOs on the land we gather, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present, and all the First Nations mob. We're here for a very special occasion, to launch a children's book that honours William Cooper, a man known as the father of NAIDOC. So it seems more appropriate that I can't call him William Cooper. I've got to call him William Mooks Cooper, because he's an elder of mine. His courage, vision and determination paved the way for future generations to have a voice and a place and a sense of pride into who they are. William Cooper was a man who believed that injustice should never go unanswered. From advocating for the rights of Aboriginal people here on our own shores, to to standing up for Jewish people overseas. Mooks Cooper showed us what it means to live with purpose and compassion. His legacy lives on in every NAIDOC week when we gather to celebrate culture, survival and resilience. It is fitting that this story is being shared with our children so they can grow up knowing the footsteps from which they stand and the shoulders they stand upon. This brings me to Barbara Miller. I've known Barb for over 50 years. I don't know how come, because I'm only 52. Barbara is a pastor, she's a mediator, psychologist and a teacher. She has been passionate about Aboriginal advancement since 1970, starting out as a university student. She's written many books, name a few: White Australia, Black Heart, White Woman, Black Heart, The Dying Days of Segregation, and Mooks Cooper, General Warrior. A co-author alongside Sinead Linane of this important book. Barbara's commitment to truth-telling and Aboriginal advancement has spanned decades, from supporting the return of Mapoon, advocating for land rights and to standing alongside communities in the pursuit of justice and self-determination. Barbara has dedicated her life to ensuring that stories like William Mooks Cooper are not forgotten, but are passed on to the next generation. Through this book, she invites our young people and all Australians to learn about a man who fought not just for himself, but for all of us, so that our children and grandchildren can walk with pride and dignity in their culture. Today, as we launch this children's book, we celebrate William Mooks Cooper's enduring legacy and Barbara Miller's dedication to sharing it. May this book inspire children across the country to stand up for what is right, to learn the history and to carry forward the spirit of NAIDOC and the vision of William Cooper. Barbara, we thank you for your work and for gifting this important story to our communities. Congratulations on the significant achievement, and may this book find its way in many homes, schools and libraries across Australia. Go back to the story about going to Israel. I was very fortunate. I'm not lucky, I'm a fortunate person, because I grew up in a household that I had uncles and aunts and mooks and nudgies to encourage us mob coming through to go on to pursue our careers and so on. In 2015 we had our dawn service here, 100 year centennial, and I was involved with the pre-dawn, and it was fantastic. I worked with Battalion 51 to the south. Next minute I got a phone call inviting me over to Gallipoli, then from Melbourne, then to Villers-Bretonneux in France, and then in 2017 I go to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and Beersheba. And I'm walking around there, because I'm there for about 8 days. You've got to realise with my line, when our grandparents and grandfathers were removed from their homelands, my grandmother was taken to Motormone, which is 18 kilometres north of Kuranda. The two sisters went to Yarrabah and the brother went to Palm Island off Townsville. But my point is, growing up in Kuranda, we were born with the Seventh-day Adventist religion. So everybody's dream trip in Kuranda is to go to Israel. So when I had this opportunity of going to Israel, all the mobs said, David, you've got to take lots of photos and you've got to come back and you've got to show a PowerPoint in the church. Okay. So I did all that. I went to the Dead Sea, I went to Lot's Road, I went to Galilee, I went to Olives. I went to these places that we all grew up in the Bible. It was amazing. It was fantastic. And then I'm walking around there and I hear this word, hey, cocky! And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Cocky. People that know me growing up, I've got two names, Cocky and Bindi. Bindi's my language name. There was Barb singing out Cocky. And I turned around and I was like, two recognised countrymen from Cairns was there. And it was such a blast to see local families all the way in Beersheba, Israel. So yeah, we caught up that day. It was fantastic, and I have great memories of going to Israel, and I will always return there forever. And my name is David, which means the beloved. There you go. So I'm very proud of that. And my daughter, we kept in the family, so there's the name Jeddah. And after the grandparents, so we got rid of the Da and called it Jedess. So she's the firstborn of David. But look, thanks so much, Bob, for asking me to be part of this, Norman, and thanks to Rabbi for being here. And enjoy the evening, and thanks for coming. Cheers. Shalom.
Oh, that's wonderful, Dr. David Hudson. And right now I'm going to honour the Rabbi Ari Rubin to speak on William Cooper. And Bob and I have had countless times of attending Jewish feast services led by Rabbi Ari of the Kabbat in Cairns. And he also looks after council and the rural remote outreach of Kabbat. And we appreciate his friendship greatly. I remember quite some time, a few years now, when I never forgot it, but the many Hanukkahs around that Australia, the West, we have the Christmas, but to the Jewish families, they have Hanukkah, and I recall so many times at the big Hanukkah menorah on the Cairns and proudly just take photos there of it. I remember this year when Rabbi Ari and the congregation they did the Hanukkah menorahs of the boomerang. So I'm not going to say any more, but I want to honour this wonderful man, friend that we call, and thank you for being here tonight and sharing your heart.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was definitely a lot of fun. I would have known that we had your one. We would have done that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming and inviting me. This is a big honor to be. We get to have Norman and Barbara all the time, and I'm so excited to be able to come here. Can you hear my? Is this loud enough?
Just speaking to it. Is that better?
Yeah, so thanks for giving me the opportunity to reflect on the remarkable life and legacy of William Cooper, especially as we celebrate the launch of Barbara's book, the children's book on the story of the courageous journey. In light of the tragic recent events like the terror attack that just happened in Melbourne, we're reminded of the challenges that our society faces, challenges that can make us feel isolated, fearful, even powerless in the face of new and unfamiliar threats. William Cooper, the founder of what would become NAIDOC Week, embodied this very principle. In the 1930s, at a time when Aboriginal Australians were denied basic rights and their voices were systematically silenced, Cooper stood virtually alone. He organised the first day of mourning, led petitions to the Kings for Indigenous representation, and most famously led a protest to the German consulate in 1938, condemning the persecution of Jews during Kristallnacht, an act of solidarity almost unheard of at the time. I remember when I was a child, I remember seeing the story of William Cooper being represented in the Melbourne Holocaust Museum, and I got my family to come. I saw it in the newspaper, and I made sure to bring my family along. They weren't planning; they otherwise wouldn't have known about it. But because I saw it, I schlepped them all to the Melbourne Holocaust Museum so that we could, because the story is really incredible. At a time where the rest of the world had turned their backs and nobody was standing up for the Jewish nation, you had one individual in the entire world, one individual that wasn't Jewish, that stood up, and that was William Cooper. To this day, we still in awe of what William Cooper did, and are so thankful to the works of Barbara and Norman to bring that story to light and to make sure that that story didn't get lost on the pages of the newspaper. We're still able to know about it today. Like the biblical nation, described as a people that dwells alone, Cooper understood that standing apart from the mainstream was not a curse, but a calling. He drew strength from his heritage, his community, and his unshakable sense of justice. He did not assimilate to the dominant culture at the expense of his values, but instead he insisted on the dignity and rights of his people and extended his compassion to others and to those seeking justice. The line, a nation that dwells alone, comes from the Torah, from the Bible. In fact, it comes from this week's Torah portion. Synagogues around the world will read that prophecy this coming Saturday in synagogues all over the globe. The story opens with Balak, king of Moab, noticing how the children of Israel had defeated the Amorites. The Bible noted that Moab became afraid of the people because they were numerous, and Moab became disgusted because of the children of Israel. Bilam, the Gentile prophet, tries over and over to curse the Jewish people, but the most beautiful blessings come out of his mouth instead. He prophesies about the end of days with the coming of the Messiah. He gives us the beautiful verse that we say in our prayers every day. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Israel comes from this prophecy. But the first words out of his mouth, Numbers chapter 23, verse 9. He says, Ki merosh tzurim erenu umikvois ashurenu hein am yevadod yishkon uvagoyim lo yischashu. What does that mean? He says, I see from the head of rocks, I look at them from the hills, they are a nation that will dwell alone. It will not be reckoned with amongst the nations. So let me ask you, is it a blessing or is it a curse that a nation should dwell alone? The fact is that the Jewish people, over and over and over throughout our history, have been alone, have stood alone. The world against us. We've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times over and over during the millennia that we existed. We've seen the phrase, you Jews are different, you're not part of us, we should expel you from them. We've been expelled and sent out from country throughout our existence. From Israel to Babylonia, to France and Spain, to the Morocco, Iraq, Kurdistan. We see this at the UN today over and over again, that Israel is singled out over all the other nations. And even in Australia, where we have been so lucky and fortunate to live, we're seeing now with the second synagogue being burned in 7 months, together with all the hate that's there, to which we are so thankful that Barbara and Norman provide their voices of sanity throughout all the chaos that exists in this world. Heim am levadod yishkon. We are a nation that dwells alone. Now that seems to be a negative thing. However, in 1972, Prime Minister of Israel Yitzchak Rabin had a private audience with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Chabad Rebbe that was my mentor and leader. He had received a request from the then president of Israel, Zalman Shazar, who himself used to be a Chabad follower. He was a religious Chabad that left the religion but stayed friends with his movement. So he convinced the Prime Minister of Israel, Yitzchak Rabin, to have an audience with the Chabad Rebbe. And at this meeting, which you can see, they have videos of Rabin speaking. Rabin was later assassinated from the cause of trying to broker peace. He came to a private audience with the Rebbe, and it happened to coincide with the Rebbe's 70th birthday. And he shared in video some of the conversations that we've had with him. And Rubin said he feels alone when he looks at what happens in the United Nations, where there's 120 nations at that time that are all ganging up against the one nation of Israel. And he used the voice that we will read in this week's Torah portion. Hein am yevadod yishkon. It feels like I am standing alone, as the nation that dwells alone. So the Rebbe says, is that message a message by choice, or is it outside forces that are forcing us to dwell alone? The Rebbe said that it's really both. Being alone is both our choice, and it's a choice that's forced upon us. It's a curse and it's a blessing. If you see the first words before before Bilam says, you are a nation that dwells alone, he says, which means I see from the heads of rocks, I look out from the hills. Who are the rocks and who are the hills? They are our heritage. They are our ancestors, our forefathers. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. So this is a blessing, because our survival, the Jewish nation's survival through thousands of years, is because we stand alone, we stand separate. But because we stick to our traditions that came from the rocks, from our ancestors, we stick to our traditions, to the commandments we got at Sinai, and that gives us the strength when it's forced upon us to be able to stand alone. Our survival, sadly, is because the Antisemites make us. But you see, as alone as a Jewish nation, we are not lonely. Standing up against injustice, we see the story of William Cooper more relevant than ever today. He teaches us that even when you are the only one doing so, we must stand alone and be powerful ally to those that are being mistreated. Our differences, whether cultural, religious, or personal, are in fact blessings as well. They're not just a curse. They're a source of our strength and the help to heal the divisions in our society. By holding fast to our values and traditions, we can build a more just and compassionate society. As we share William Cooper's story with children, with this beautiful book that Rabbi has produced, let us remind ourselves that being a nation that dwells alone is not a curse, but a unique opportunity to lead, to care, and to make a difference, just like William Cooper did. May his example inspire us to stand bravely for what is right, even when we stand alone. May we see the end of Bilam's prophecy, where he speaks about the coming of the Messiah, what will be at the end of days, where there will be no more suffering, no more death, but only joy and happiness with the coming of the Messiah. May it be speedily in our days. Thanks again so much for having me.
Very moving, very powerful. Rabbi Rubin. And Barbara is, I know, doing recording, so I don't know what you'll do with the recording a little bit later in time. But that was just so powerful, and I want to say to the Jewish community, we stand with you stronger and stronger. And we say to you that you are not alone. And that was one of the importance that Barbara and I had set up Indigenous Friends of Israel. We want to say to you that you are our friends. And countless times that I've seen people from Israel, families from Israel come here. And recently, a young lady that was Texas born and been moving back that way. She came in there a week ago, and I said to her, I say, stay safe wherever you're going, but I want you to tell your friends that you have friends here in Australia, you have friends here in Cairns, you have Indigenous friends, and that's important. We are your family. So thank you, Rabbi. I'm now going to do a song. But importantly, this song, it was interesting. There was a couple late last year. They came through Cairns, and because I love singing, I actually sing on the Esplanade.
Thanks, David.
And they heard me singing this song. So they said, where is this singing coming from? And we got to talking. So I won't say anything else, but this was the song that I sang. Out of the symphony, here with me, look into my eyes and see people walk away, but never say goodbye. So much to the moon tonight, took my life, everything is black and white. Who's the fool who told you, boys don't cry? Hours and hours and hours, life is no game, but it's ours, while the time goes by. Every day I'm losing my mind, holding on to this mysterious pride. Dancing in this storm, I've got nothing to hide. Take it out and leave the world behind. Baby, promise me you'll hold me again. I'm still broken from this October rain, this October rain. Living in a fantasy, ecstasy, everything is meant to be. We shall pass, but love will never die. Hours and hours and hours, life is no game, but it's ours, while the time goes by. Every day I'm losing my mind, and holding on to this mysterious ride, and dancing in this storm, I've got nothing to hide. And take it out and leave the world behind. And baby, promise me you'll hold me again. And I'm still broken from this October rain, this October rain. So that was a song that I sang. And now I want to hand you over to Debbie, who will be doing a video of the IFII Public Schools Education Program. Thank you, Deborah.